Does this mic work?
Hello?
Well then, fuck that mic.
You're listening to the only podcast that admits they might know what they are talking about.
And that's just facts.
This is We Might Know Sports
I love you.
with Steffan,
Well, the topic Corey might like. I don't even know.
Kevin. Oh, damn it. I already picked him. And Corey.
I hope everyone has a ball.
We like sports and we don't care who knows.
No forget Jesus, people.
The ceiling is the roof. Let's make it happen.
Without Jerry McNamara, we wouldn't have won 10 fucking games this year.
Where are we at in society today? Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
Don't tell me how upset I am.
And tonight I saw and heard one of the most disgusting, rudest, sick demonstrations in my entire career. Probably the worst.
Buckle up, buckaroo!
And here we go.
All right. I already did it, Steffan. See, I wrote it down. I wasn't going to say all right. Welcome to We Might Know Sports. This is episode 28. As I like to call it, the OG crew, Steffan and Kevin. Corey is off experiencing fatherdom for what, the second time?
Second time.
Everything going well for him, I assume?
Yeah, he is doing amazing after,
After standing by patiently, waiting for the birth of his second daughter.
Well, I'm sure it didn't take too long, actually. It was just a C-section, so.
Oh, well, I'm sure there was moments where he was nervous.
I'm sure.
We wish the happy family a quick recovery, and we hope to see him soon back on the show. Steffan, how was your weekend?
Pretty eventful. I went out to Ohio, went to Cedar Point amusement park out there, tore up some roller coasters, did shit. Got sunburned, I'm pretty sure.
Can't tell on the video if that makes you feel better.
Good.
All right. I, on the other hand, worked a Lamborghini car show. That was kind of interesting. I saw a Seattle Seahawks themed Lamborghini, which was just like, why would you spend literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on a car? And the image is just terrible. Like, not even just because I'm not a Seattle Seahawks fan. It's just I wouldn't do that to my Lamborghini.
They're just that dedicated of Seahawks fan.
I mean, you know how they have that helmet pattern up the middle? That was the front end of the car, basically. And then they had 12 on the door. It looked like something I could create on Forza Motorsports video game.
I don't know if I give you that much credit.
Well, someone could. That's not saying much. They can make like Mona Lisa on the hoods of cars, but that is neither here nor there. We have a lot to get to, including a video of my interview with our MMA expert, Mr. Ben Friedman, which may involve a bet or two. Actually, it's 2-1 odds. Spoiler alert! I gave him for something about the main event. You'll hear that in just a couple minutes. We're also gonna review our golf picks. Not gonna spoil that one. We'll keep you in the weights for that one, as well as our NASCAR picks, our Gold Cup picks. You know, the U.S. made it to the final, Steffan. We all predicted they would win, so that's good news for us at least.
Yeah, see, it's a good thing I picked them this time.
Yeah, you finally got out of your communism ways. So we've got a lot to get to, and I think we're just going to go straight to the UFC video. That way we can talk about it in a little bit. Steffan, does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right, without further ado, Kevin, take it away. I'm here with our MMA expert, Mr. Ben Friedman, here to talk about UFC 214 and some other news that has been announced this past week. Ben, how have you been since we last saw you?
I've been well, thank you for asking. I've been enjoying the beautiful Seattle summer, and yeah, just kind of enjoying the outdoors. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Busy with this podcast, of course. Making it the number one podcast is my priority, and schoolwork, of course. All right, so we have a big fight coming up at the end of the week. UFC 214, Saturday, July, not January, sorry, 29th.
I do that too.
Yeah. And well, let's first start talking about the first fight on the main card. Jimmy Manuwa versus Volkan Oezdemir. I got it. I'm starting to learn, and I wrote it out phonetically so I can pronounce it without any issues. So it's Oezdemir.
Yeah, no issues there.
And well, I had to find it where I wrote it phonetically. But we have Manuwa, who's 17-2, versus Oezdemir, who's 14-1. Oezdemir, this is his third fight in the UFC, and there's very little to go on both fighters to compare them, since that's the case. I know Jimmy Manuwa was put on this card in case anything happens with John Jones or Daniel Cormier, since the main event has always had an issue coming through. I think it's been canceled like 4 or 5 times. So the UFC has finally gotten smart and put someone on to replace the other in case one gets a last minute injury, someone doesn't make weight, someone tests positive for boner pills. They've got their bases covered. Unless both happen, then they're screwed. But Jimmy Manuwa, he's a knockout artist. 88% of his finishes are by knockouts. I don't see much changing in this fight. I watched the two Oezdemir fights, and his first fight was let's see here. First OSP. He gassed out by the third round, so if this goes the distance, I definitely don't see him winning decision. And with Manuwa, he lost to, he's a good fighter, but he's also lost to Rumble Johnson by knockout and to Gustafsson. I don't know if that was by decision or knockout. I think it was by knockout, TKO. So obviously he's there. He definitely belongs in the top 3 with everyone else he's beaten. But the fact that he's lost to Gustafsson and he's lost to Rumble, and those were the top 2 people to be facing Cormier versus Jones, one of those 2. I don't see him getting the belt if those 2 are around. What do you think is going to happen in this fight, and do you agree?
Can you repeat the question?
Do you think Manuwa has got a shot at beating Cormier or Jones with what you know of both fighters right now?
No, because I don't think Manuwa does anything better than Jones nor Cormier, and I would say that both Jones and Cormier have a more well-rounded skill set. Both of them can wrestle. I think Jones was collegiate wrestler of some sort, community college or something.
High school and college, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously Cormier was an Olympian.
Mm-hmm.
But they can both strike as well. Whereas Jimmy he's a good kickboxer. You know, he's got good reach as well. If you look at his arm and leg reach, I think he outstats many opponents, but he's not going to outstat Gustafsson, that's for sure. And losing to Rumble, there's no shame in that.
No, especially by knockout.
So I agree with you that he should be in the top 10. I feel like the ranks are getting a little thin as far as who they can pull from. I've never seen Volkan Oezdemir fight.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look up any of his stuff, but he's already number 5. Well,
Yeah,
I might
he
be out of the loop, but I didn't think I'd be that far out of the loop, you know.
he was 7 going into his last fight, and he beat the number 5 guy, so that's why he got it. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
He won by a one punch counter knockout, so it's kind of interesting to see. I think Manawa. I mean, his last 2 fights, he's tucking them to the ground, and he struggled. So if it goes onto the ground, he better try and get back up. I do have this quote from Jimmy though about Daniel Cormier, and it was
You do it in his accent.
no, because I may be English heritage, but I suck at the. It always comes out Irish. Sorry. But he said, and I'm quoting him, he's a fucking fat wrestler, and I don't really give a shit what he says. Everyone says he's a nice guy, but I don't really like him. He seems to me like a bully, and I don't like bullies. He's got the belt. He's a great fighter and everything. I respect him for that. But as a person, I don't really like him. I don't like his attitude towards other fighters. He kind of looks down on people and stuff. So I don't really respect him, and I don't believe he will get out of round 2 with me. So fuck Daniel Cormier. And for now, I'm just focused on Vulcan, and we'll cross the bridge after I beat Vulcan.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna segue to a different topic briefly because I forgot I put that quote on my notes, and bring this up to you about Daniel. Maybe we'll touch that when we get to Daniel versus Jones. Actually, how about that?
Sure.
All
Well,
right.
For that quote, you think he's trying to do a little bit of McGregor magic and just stir the pot so he can create a storyline and hopefully get a chance at that title.
It's bringing attention to him at least. I mean, I know his Cormier's last fight, he was in the stands and he was shouting to him in ringside post fight, saying "one punch."
Yeah, I remember that. That's all it's gonna take. One punch.
One
One punch.
punch.
It's like, you're not gonna hit me.
And then Cormier went on his rant about Jones afterwards, so he didn't really acknowledge him too much. He just said, "I see you, Jimmy. You don't want any of this," and then he went on to berate Jones.
His boner pill or whatever.
All right, let's talk about Robbie Lawler, who hasn't fought since he lost his belt
Ruthless Robbie Lawler.
back in UFC 201 versus Woodley, versus Donald Cerrone, who hasn't fought since he lost in January, versus Jorge Masvidal in Denver earlier this year. I like Lawler. I like his stamina. I don't think Cerrone matches up well against him. I think it's too soon for Cerrone, and I think the UFC is kind of pushing for him because they want to see Cerrone fight for the belt because he draws pay-per-view buys, was my opinion. With that being said, Cerrone's looking better since he moved up to 170. He looks a lot more energetic, I guess you could say. And I don't know. I just think this isn't a good fight for Cerrone right now. I think he should have taken like a lesser opponent. The only thing that I give him credit for is Lawler hasn't fought in a year. So I'm wondering if ring rust becomes a factor too.
Well, Cerrone's kind of like a dog in the way that you measure the years, right? I mean, him being out since January is probably the equivalent in normal fighter years of like 5 years away or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be even that way.
He always seems to fight better when he doesn't rest. Minus this past bout.
Yeah, just looking at some of his previous stuff here. He fought four times in 2016.
It's interesting to see too. Looking at the stats, you have Lawler, who's got 74 knockouts. 74% of his fights, excuse me, have been won by knockout. Whereas Cerrone is 50% of his fights been submission and 25 knockout. So
I think that Cerrone is definitely he prefers to stand and bang, and I think he takes the back or something when he gets him down instead of just finishing him with strikes. That's probably where that skewed number comes from. But I think both these guys are ready to just rock 'em, sock 'em robots in the middle.
you don't think they're gonna try, or Cerrone's gonna try and get him on the ground?
Nah. I mean, not initially. I think they're going to try to stand and bang
Yeah.
in the pocket. Even if it's not a good idea, I think Cerrone likes to test himself in that way
Mhm.
and feels that he is on the upper echelon of strikers. So, and I think Robbie Lawler showed everybody that he's got no problem standing right in the middle and just going for it. Comes up short sometimes, but like you said, his stamina is pretty excellent. He can keep that pace all the way through the end and still have something in the tank.
I'm gonna go with Lawler by decision, just because I don't see either of them getting knocked out in this fight. 3 round.
Round one, Robbie Lawler wins by knockout.
Oh, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
All right, let's move to the middle event, or the first of 3 title belts on the line. Anaheim's being spoiled with this fight card, getting 3 belts in one night. I mean, this is
And sunny weather. What else do they need, huh?
sometimes it rains, sometimes it doesn't. Chris Cyborg makes her UFC title belt debut versus Jermaine Durandame? No, because Jermaine was too scared to fight Cyborg, so she gave up the belt. Great start for this division. Instead, it's Tanya Evinger, who is currently Invicta's 135 champ. And now this is for 145. She looked pretty tiny at 135. So I feel bad for her because Cyborg going into this fight probably has at least a 30-pound advantage over her. Cyborg's won most of her fights by knockout. I'm looking at I didn't copy down the inch reach, but I'm pretty sure she's got a reach advantage. The one fight I did watch of Tanya's, it was a lot of ground game. She ended up winning by knockout, but she worked mainly on the ground. I don't see it going to the ground. I see Cyborg just winning by knockout in the first round. I don't have too much about either fighter, so.
And is she going to make the weight?
Yeah, I think she'll make the weight. I think other things were going on. She was just using the weight cutting as a excuse. I listened to her get interviewed. She said she was during offseason. That's why she didn't accept the first fight versus Holly Holm. Do you really want to believe that? That's up to you. I don't. I feel she was cycling, but who knows?
Well, she did piss hot, right?
Yeah. But it was for something in birth control or something, though. I don't know. Something to do with UFC and their dietitian that they had for whatever. I don't know. It depends on whose side you really want to believe.
Yeah. Well,
but looking at her, it's kind of hard to believe her side.
she's big. She's big. I don't know if she's gonna be able to make 145, man.
I mean, she knocked Gina Carano out and made her retire, so can only imagine how powerful her punches actually are.
You bitch! I really enjoyed watching Gina fight. He ruined it for everybody. Everyone always kept on switching it to like, oh yeah, the women's face of MMA, Ronda Rousey. No. Originally Gina Carano.
And then she got beat by Cyborg and went, I don't want to damage this pretty face anymore.
Right. She went on to make a bunch of movies.
She's in Fast and Furious 6, I think, or 7, one of them. Spoiler.
Wired? Was that another one? Wired?
Yeah, I think I've watched a couple of them just because she's in it, and they're terrible movies. So, other than Fast and Furious, but she doesn't speak a lot in Fast and Furious, so she's got like 4 lines.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Cyborg just because I don't know anything again about Tanya. And if you're saying that she generally fights at 135, I think the weight is going to make a giant difference.
Yeah,
A giant difference.
even if she typically weighs 150, you're looking at Cyborg, who comes in usually at 175 and makes that massive weight cut. She wants to fight at 155, but there's no one that will fight her at that weight.
Do you ever see that? Man, I can't remember her name. So she fights in Ryzen and those other promotions. This gigantic Brazilian woman who's like 6'1", 240 or something, and she looks massive. And her last fight, she was fighting against just a small, I believe, small Asian woman with nothing but heart. And so basically, I'm gonna find this person's name. Basically, just pushed the small Asian woman to the ground and kept hitting her illegally. I'm not gonna be able to find it. Anyways,
I'll say I was skeptical when they first started bringing women's divisions into the UFC, but I kind of like having it. It's a nice change of pace. They're a little more feisty, I guess you could say, than most of the men that are in the similar weight class. So it's a nice change of action.
yeah, and the level has actually risen quite a bit as well from the inception versus today.
Yeah.
So that's nice to see. A lot of good techniques.
I mean, on this card, there's one other women's fight, but I mean, it's a good one. I mean, they made it their main event for the prelim card on UFC Fight Pass. Kaylin Karan versus I don't know Alexandra Albu, but
what's
apparently Wikipedia doesn't know. But Kaylin Karan is in the strawweight division, and she's been floating around the top 10 for a while.
her record's 4-4, which is interesting to hear that she's top 10.
She was. She lost to Felice Herrig and Jamie Moyle in the Tournament of Champions finale. So this is her first fight. We'll see if she comes back. She also lost to Paige Van Zandt, so that doesn't help her case right now. But that was early. That was 3 years ago now.
Well, it should be an interesting one to see.
Mm-hmm.
Alexandra from the Moldova Republic, 6-0.
So we'll see. But back to the main card. To the co-main event, I guess you could say, even though, Dana White did say John Jones will never have a main event again. And look what happened there. More on what.
That's bullshit. He also was like, never. You're not gonna go box McGregor. You're not gonna go box. Okay, just this one time, and I'm gonna promote you. He just he's such a weasel. It's great.
More on that in just a minute after we finish these cards. But we have Woodley versus Maya. Woodley, after two highly controversial win/majority draw over Wonderboy Thompson, is getting someone else other than Thompson finally. And hopefully this is going to be a little more entertaining, because I tell you what, those Thompson fights were kind of snooze fests. They weren't really doing much. I mean, Woodley won the last fight because he actually did something in the 5th round, but that's about it.
He saved it all up. And then he cashed in his chips at the end. I think when Woodley was fighting against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the danger or the big threat was something from a strike, a very unorthodox, quick strike that you wouldn't really see coming. And so Tyrone played it kind of cool. But with Damian Maya, it's the ground game. And I suspect we might see a little bit more action because although that stuff can get put on quick, I bet you Tyrone feels pretty good about his ability to get out of a situation just with raw strength. That's like his thing. He's explosive. So,
I mean, like you said, Maya has won his last 7 fights either by decision or submission. So it's going to be interesting to see going against Woodley, who's won 44% of his fights via knockout. So
I think Maya also has an age thing working against him.
Yeah. I mean, you do have Woodley who has a 2-inch reach advantage, so that's going to be interesting. But he's shorter by doing some quick math, 4 inches. So that'll be interesting to see as well.
Same size legs, but you don't really want to kick a grappler anyway. So.
I mean, is that going to impede on Maya's to go to try and take him down?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Do you think that's going to impede Maya, Woodley's reach 2 inches? I mean, it's a little, but still an advantage to poke him back.
Yeah, I think it certainly is an advantage. But if all things were being equal, but they're not. Woodley's got way better striking than Maya in the first place. So that reach advantage probably won't help him too much. It might help him a little bit. But I think just his skill set is going to help him the most in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go.
Go
what's
ahead.
your prediction? What do you got?
You can go first.
Okay. I didn't mean to jump in like that.
Maya's 39, by the way.
All right. Which is, it's not the end of the road, but it's definitely up there. I'm going to give it to Woodley, the champion. The first time I saw this guy fight, it was against Jay Huron, and he floated across the octagon and just destroyed Huron. And that's when I took notice. I think his explosive power, his accuracy, and his will to win is pretty high. I think he's going to be able to take care of Damian Maya. Probably not the first round. I think this will probably be in deep water rounds, either 4 or 5. But the opportunity will probably present itself, and I think he's just going to finish it. Probably ground strikes or something.
I'm going to go Woodley in the 4th round by knockout. His power is kind of devastating, and I feel like he's gonna do what he did against Thompson, and then finally come out in the 4th round and just come after it after the fans are booing him for the first 3. Because I know fans typically don't like to see the grapple game and all that, so they like to see the stand-up. So it'll be interesting to see, especially with the main event of John Jones versus Daniel Cormier. I think I'm saying this right. Part 2.
Oh, that's the first time I've heard you say Cormier instead of Cormier.
I've been training. I think I said it earlier this podcast. You just didn't notice.
Okay.
I didn't point it out. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. So we hopefully. So insider knowledge. We're recording this Friday, a week in advance of basically 8 days before the fight. So as of right now, this fight is on. I still have this fight at 60% chance of happening with the amount of trash talk that's going on line. I think once we get to next Friday, it'll move up to 90. I'll feel a little more confident. But other than that, I'm I'm still skeptical because I was skeptical for UFC 200, and then 2 days before, I remember hearing it that Jones wasn't going to be in it, so all because of boner pills. So,
Well, he claims boner pills, but
oh,
did they find out for sure, definitively?
they said that's why he's been talking about it. Chael Sonnen actually let him let the news out of what he tested positive for. I can't remember what, but they're like they find that in boner pills. So
You think that they just claimed boner pill because they knew that
well,
substance
well,
was
Chael Sonnen first said it, and then Joe Rogan confirmed it basically because he was like he let it slip what he tested positive for, and then they started like researching it live on the podcast because they're like, well, Chael already beat you to it, so and they're like, oh well, if it's already known, then we'll start seeing what kind of like things it's in. So I don't know. I believe it's boner pills because he was coking it up probably. Also well known about John Jones is he likes to party.
Yeah.
And crash into pregnant ladies. That's how he lost his belt.
Well, and then he fled the scene. Felony.
Well, he fled the scene. He came back, grabbed some stuff, and then fled the scene again. So it's like double fled. Well, I do not condone his out of the ring activities. I am a huge fan of John Jones inside the ring, mainly because he's also from upstate New York. Got to support one another. There's only a couple 100,000 of us. And let's see here. His last fight was UFC 197, which was supposed to be versus Daniel Cormier for the belts. However, Cormier was injured with shin splints, I think, something like that. This is also John Jones' first fight with the new rule change where he's not allowed to do this. So it's gonna be interesting to see his tactics now. He can do this. He can do this. He just can't do this. And he's quite fond of that move. So we'll see how he adapts. They're swinging for the fences though to sell this fight. Have you been paying attention to social media, Ben?
No, I haven't, but they absolutely better be swinging for the fences with this fight because they need it. They're falling apart. They need it.
So I think win or lose, I think this is Daniel's last fight this year. Whether or not he's done, period, but he talked about how he struggled with the weight cut versus Rampage, Rumble, and how he was getting too old for it. And I'm gonna throw this out there. I think he's gonna retire if he beats Jones. I think that's his last gasp.
You don't think he's gonna go for the trilogy?
No, there's no point in his mind because he won't fight Gustafsson again. I mean, so John Jones recently posted a picture of him weighing on a scale though, and then because it's cutting time right now, and he posted a picture of him holding a towel down. So, and then you have Daniel posting things and Jones commenting in the comments below saying, hey, a whole bunch of things. And then Cormier came back and said, hey, why don't you not I gotta find that quote. It was real funny, and I don't like Cormier, and it was just
Why don't you like him? Because when you were quoting Manoa, it almost was as if your fellow countryman was quoting you.
I don't like him because he's desperate for people to like him, and I think he's jealous of Jones and the following that he's gotten because he's not exactly the greatest role model out of the ring, but I think Cormier is desperate for that attention, and he's acting like the kid that lost his basketball over the fence and can't get it. Like he just wants to grab it and go home. Like I just the rivalry between Jones and Cormier started with an interesting incident. I can't remember the exact details, but I think he just is too full of himself at some points, and that's the type of personality you either like or hate. And I think a lot of people hate because he's also taking a lot of shots at Jones and his out of the ring things. And a lot of people don't like it when you kick someone when they're down.
Unless it's not to the head,
Yeah.
then it's legal.
Yeah, then it's legal. And I feel like that's the reason why Cormier is not liked, is because people just perceive him as a bully. If he just beat him in the ring, that would be one thing. But he didn't win, and people look at him as the paper champion because he earned his belt not the typical way. So
I think I feel like he's given John Jones the respect that Jones deserves, which is that Jones is a good fighter. I believe Daniel Cormier is quoted as saying something along those lines, but that he doesn't respect the way that Jones isn't a good role model and the way that he's just fucking up a lot. I like Cormier. I don't think he's not my favorite fighter, and I was actually a huge Jones fan. But the more shit that comes out, and the more that you see Jones sort of talking like a spoiled kid, the less I actually like Jones. I think he's a phenomenal fighter. I think he's a great fighter, and you don't have to be a role model.
yeah,
But I think in martial arts, there's this undertone of respect and discipline, that harkens all the way back to when I was growing up watching Van Damme movies and Steven Seagal movies, baby. And there's that respect, which is clearly not there. The man's a beast. He could probably take out 99% of the people that he encounters in this world, no problem. But a little bit of humility, or if he was in any way humble, I think it would probably make him look better in the public eye. Him as in John Jones. Cormier, I think, has it.
go ahead.
I was saying, Cormier, I think, has it. He addresses these things, but Cormier is driven, and I also don't believe that Cormier cares if he fits into whatever is politically correct. He feels a certain way about it. He feels justified in his feelings, and all he does is present that. I don't understand why people dislike him.
I also think people don't like him because none of his fights have been that impressive since he's gotten the belt versus Rumble. Rumble fight, okay, that was one fight, but since he's gotten the belt, he had the laying on of Anderson Silva past his prime too.
Well, that wasn't a belt.
Yeah, it wasn't for a belt, but still. And then he had Gustafsson, who arguably could have gone either way. You could have scored that either way. I mean, it went to decision, and
He flipped Gustafsson. That's exciting.
Yeah, but Gustafsson took Cormier down, and you shouldn't be able to take down a wrestler that claims to have his type of pedigree. And then in his last fight against Rumble wasn't even in the fight. He, instead of doing the Rumble style, he was trying to do Cormier style versus Cormier. And I was like, what the? No one understood what was going on there.
It was just like when Pete Carroll called for a throwing play on the 1 yard line in 2014.
Like, you have the biggest
Run it.
We'll pass it.
God. But Here's the thing, though. Do you think that Cormier is not giving impressive fights because he's having a hard time making that weight?
I think
And then he's just
I think
gassed
that's
out?
the issue. He came into the UFC, I believe, as a heavyweight, and now he's fighting at light heavyweight, and he looks like he's on death's door whenever he weighs in. Especially this past fight that caused new rules in New York State for not touching anything.
Did you see that guy who tried to weigh in today?
No,
Uh, it's like Eckelman or something. He's standing there. He had dropped his pants. He was pretty much trying to weigh in. And then he puts his finger out like this. And the guy just whips the towel whips the towel down. He's like, "Don't touch the towel."
nice.
It's pretty funny.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Now, the last time these two fought, Jones controlled Cormier by pushing him against the fence. Took him down a couple times. Cormier didn't really do a lot. Typical theme of my observations from Cormier fighting, but Cormier lost by decision, and I see this fight going to decision. Whether or not it's Jones or Cormier, I go back and forth because Jones hasn't fought in a while, but Cormier hasn't looked great in his last couple fights. So I'll let you give your opinion, and I'll decide afterward. How about that?
Sure. Well, I remember watching that first fight at your place, actually, and I thought it was pretty exciting. I remember sort of noticing I was kind of on the edge of my seat or, all tensed up and stuff because I didn't know which way I was going to go. And I was really excited. I believe it was the first 3 rounds because although Jones has all the physical advantages of ridiculous, like stupidly good reach for his size, and obviously Cormier is just smaller anyways. Cormier was getting in there, and he was throwing heavy. He was working a game plan, and the game plan looked like it could have been successful, but the pace was just too much for him, and I think he started slowing down in 4 and 5. If he's able, conditioning wise, to go all 5 rounds with his game plan, I think he's got a strong chance of winning. If it goes 5 rounds, that is. Jones has some ring rust. To be honest, I don't think it's going to affect him that much. I believe he's still been training. The guy's very gifted in the first place. He's still young. I don't think that's going to be an issue. But the real issue is when Cormier shows up and he's driven and in shape. I think he has a chance. I would say 60-40 in that case. But if Cormier shows up and he just barely makes weight, or is super drawn out, if he's at death's door, like you said, I'm going to go 70-30 for Jones. So I'll make an official prediction on the night of the weigh-in, I guess. Yeah. I think Jones generally would win, but I think Cormier has an opportunity.
Do you see Jones coming out with a flying knee like he did in his first championship bout?
Verdum style. I think Jones is going to do his little spider walk thing.
That's another rule change. Is Cormier can attack him. He's not considered a down opponent. He's gonna
I think he just does that because he thinks it looks cool.
Oh, all right. Well,
boy, he's gonna catch a kick to the face, maybe, huh?
Yeah.
I think Jones is gonna come out a little bit and just be loose. That's one of the keys to his success. He's loose, and you don't know where stuff's coming from. He can conserve his energy in that way instead of being all tensed up. So, I think you know what? There's also I completely forgot, but is it a zero tolerance thing with the eye poke? If you get an eye poke, that's 1 point, right? I mean, he could lose some rounds that way.
I don't know if they've adopted that rule yet or not.
Okay.
There's
as you pointed out, there's not okay. And that is the Jones, right in your fucking eyeballs.
Keep your stay back. Stay back. I mean, because he's got that 12-inch reach advantage over.
Yeah, that's right. It's like little spears in your eyeballs. What was that fight that just recently happened? They're trying to appeal it. It was Gunnar Nelson. The guy. Did you watch the replay?
Probably.
It was, I think, last week,
Oh,
and I just saw a clip. The guy like pokes him in the eye. He's like poking him in the eyes, and then he knocked him out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that. I didn't see it, but yeah, it's kind of messed up. Just because I'm a Jones fan, I'm going to pick Jones. If you make
pick
into the
Would
race.
you like to make it interesting for the fans out there?
Oh, why? Are you coming over to watch the fight?
I will be watching the fight, and we can.
Oh, that's
you
right.
Get to me sooner. All right.
That's right. I forgot. You're going somewhere else.
Let me state for the record and on video that I very much enjoy watching competitions with you. It just so happens that I've got an old friend who reached out to me, and he happened to do it a little bit earlier, and so I will be attending his UFC showing. But I appreciate the offer from you, and I am appreciative of every opportunity I get to talk with you and to watch fights with you.
I think we're doing beer brats too. Stay tuned.
Rub it in, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm gonna go Jones by decision. I don't see if anything, it's gonna be an early knockout, but Cormier didn't get knocked out by Rumble, so Jones is definitely not gonna knock him out. And by knockout, I mean like flying knee or something, something out of the ordinary, spinning back fist. But I definitely see it going to decision, and I see Cormier being gassed out in the later rounds.
Yeah, I think Jones is going to work those leg kicks real heavy in there. I think it's going to be leg kick central because he can defend against the takedowns.
Yeah,
and I think he might end up just chopping the tree all the way down. So I also will give it to Jones. Because even though I think Cormier has the chance if he's extremely driven and shows up in shape, I think Jones just is a better fighter and has the tool set that it takes to beat.
Do you think this is fight of the night with the rivalry between them?
No, I think fight of the night possibilities would be Lawler Cerrone or Manua and Ozdemir. The only reason I said that, even though I haven't seen Ozdemir, is I'm looking at his stats here, and he appears to be a striker.
All right.
And I think Manua versus Ozdemir could be pretty exciting in that way. Strikes landed per minute, 5.62. That's pretty high.
Yeah.
That's pretty high. And then he's got 100% takedown defense, unless that's just a stat they didn't record for him. In which case they should write NA, not 100%.
Oh, 100?
Well, for takedowns defended.
Oh, well, they might be just counting his 2 fights, and where the first fight he defended like 10 times, I think, against OS.
Oh, okay. Wow. So he does have a good. He's doing the Chuck Liddell style sprawl and brawl or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
It could be either of those. What do you think about a fight of the night?
I think I'm giving it to Woodley Maya. If it doesn't go knockout, if it goes all the way to decision, I see those two scrapping. So that would be my fight in the night. I'm going to give it to them.
Okay. Well, I know that the fans out there in podcast land, they all heard it and they noticed that it was an unanswered request. Would you like to gamble on the main event?
Oh, sure. What do you 6-pack? We bet beer around here.
I bet a 6-pack.
On this podcast, we bet beer.
All right. I will see your 6-pack. Here's the thing, though. I think we both want Jones, so we got to pick the way it's going to happen. You said decision.
Yeah.
I think Jones TKO.
Ooh. What round?
Right.
You want to get specific, or
Are we going to get specific?
because I'll give it to you if he I'll even give you. How about this? If it doesn't go to decision, which it will be going to, I will give you the round too if you guess the round. So I'll give you double the odds, basically 2-1 picks.
So, okay. So you're saying it's decision. I'm saying not decision.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the bet is. And then if I can guess the round, you're going to give me double.
No, I'm going to give you a 6-pack per guess. So if you get the round, okay. If you get TKO, okay. How about that?
Okay. That's fine. And then if it goes to decision, then I give you a 6-pack.
I don't think that's fair. I think I deserve a 12-pack then. Because I could
that's
possibly
bullshit.
lose 12 beers. And is this beer I get to choose? How about that?
What's that? Oh, fuck off. You're going to be giving me Sumerian. No. If anything, this is a horrible deal for me.
Very
Yeah.
inexpensive deal for me.
It's a wonderful deal for you. You should just be giving me odds in the first place. But I tell you what, I'm still down to take the bet. I don't think it's going to go to decision. I will bet that this is not going to decision.
Do you think
And
it
you can
goes?
bet that it is going to.
All right. How about this? For your second option, so you're not going decision. I'm going decision. For you, what about also? Does it go to title rounds?
This is a separate bet. So the first bet is that.
Yeah.
Second bet is this other one.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you agree, if it,
This is the 2-1, right? No, this is the 2-1 thing, isn't it?
yeah.
This is the. I'm putting up 1 6-pack and you're putting up a 12-pack total. That's what's going on.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Then it's
Yes, I think it goes. I think round 4.
okay.
Round 4
And
because it represents. Yes. Round 4.
Sumerian beer it is. Okay.
Not Sumerian beer or was it Hop Eruption?
Hop Eruption. I can do that.
All right, I'll take that. What's your beer of choice?
I don't know. You gotta do some research.
Oh, how about whatever I can put together?
10 barrel.
10 barrel.
10 barrel crush.
Nah. They make Crush. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's another podcast. We'll talk about beer later. All right. Before you sign off, I wanted to bring up our favorite fighter, Yoel Romero. He threw some words out to the one and only Michael Bisping after his loss. Yoel threw these words out. Apparently, he still feels like Mike deserves a rematch or a fight against him. Experiencing some technical difficulties here.
You say the many day you come in Cuba, but you never coming. So you want it? I go London, Manchester, wherever you want. I want to see your face in the octagon. Child of God, the people child. You need respect for my country. That's Cuba, man. Hey, Dana, give me the fucking boy. You need respect for these people. You need respect, Cuba. You need respect, Cuba. You need respect, Cuba. This is my fucking country. I see you wherever when you want. In London, in England, wherever when you want, fight with me. You need respect. I see you, son. I see you. I see you. All right, man. Where are you? I went for you here in Cuba. You say you coming here, but you never coming. You scared. You scared about me. Fuck you.
Ending on a harsh note from Yoel.
That's great.
Does he not? did he lose by knockout? Because does he not remember he just lost his chance to fight Bisping? Maybe like post belt fight.
I think he's just expecting that Bisping loses, as I would imagine most people are, and then he can fight Bisping. How about that?
There you go. That's what I want to see. I mean, Yoel's great at not being able to understand his trash talk, so that got that for him.
You played that. You played that once earlier,
hmm
and then this time that you played it, I actually understood what he was saying. It was great.
Was that what you like thought he was wearing though?
No, not at all. But it makes it even better.
Yeah.
It's great.
Also announced, unfortunately, UFC 215 is not taking place in Seattle. That was recently announced that it was not going to be there. Instead, it's going to be in Edmonton, Alberta, which is Canada for those that don't know geography.
You know the reason that they switched it?
Supposedly they wanted Dillashaw versus Demetrius Johnson, and it's a week before the Conor McGregor fight, so it wasn't going to be exactly the highest pay-per-view fight. So I think they opted out and just moved it back till, I believe this is September 9th is the next pay-per-view. So we'll have you back on the preview. But I just wanted to hear your first impressions of this fight card. Demetrius Johnson versus Ray Borg. And then Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko. Hopefully that'll actually happen. And then Junior Dos Santos versus Francis Ngannou. Jeremy Stevens versus Gilbert Melendez. And Henry Cejudo versus Wilson Reyes, just to name a couple of the fights on the card.
Did you stop there because the next guy's got a tough name to pronounce?
That, and I just don't know the rest of the fighters. Like I know Sarah McMahon. That's about it. But yeah, what is that? Is that an I or an L?
It's
Ayer
Latifi.
Latifi, Tyson Pedro. Like heavyweight fight.
Yeah, the fight card looks all right. I would have loved to have gone and seen it in person here in Seattle. Hopefully they don't fuck us and they'll bring something here soon.
Maybe for his 11th title defense?
Yeah.
Bring it in January, baby.
So you think that he's going to beat Ray Borg? No problem. What makes you think that?
We'll talk about it on the podcast. I just wanted your initial opinions.
I think that there's some fights here that can be pretty interesting and exciting to watch. A lot of skill on the card, a lot of people that I've never seen before. I always enjoy watching Demetrius Johnson fight. It's exciting.
As the person I'm about to throw this back to calls him a midget fighter, I do not agree. And the rest of Corey doesn't either. Corey's actually by the time this airs, a proud papa.
Oh, congratulations.
So he will not be on. That's why he's not joining us during this either. So girl number 2, I believe, for him. So we send our well wishes, and I'm going to throw it back to Kevin and Steffan, who are live now. Thanks for joining, Ben.
I appreciate it as always. Thanks very much, Kevin.
Kevin and Steffan, take it away. All right, Steffan. So we had some things thrown out your way as well.
That.
How you feeling about the Jones Cormier fight, though? Did you want to throw out your prediction?
You were doing so good with pronouncing Cormier, and now you just said Cormier again. I was so proud of you. Like, you were doing so well, and then you just go and fucked it all up again.
I go back and forth. No big deal.
I noticed. I'm excited for it. I haven't seen John Jones fight in how many years now?
He's fought once in the last 2 years.
So, like you, I've always been a big fan of Jones. You're pretty much who got me into watching him, and then watching some UFC here and there. Not as much, but more than I was before I came across John Jones. So I'm hoping that he returns to form. I think I just feel like the kind of person he is, he's got to be putting in a lot of training. I don't think he's going to take the fight lightly. Unlike you, I think that this fight will actually happen and take place.
It's currently up to 70% chance.
It's getting there.
They both did separate interviews today. One was on Fox Sports. Jones did Fox Sports, and Cormier was on ESPN. So, I mean, they also did press during UFC 200, so we'll see. I mean, last time it happened Thursday. We're coming off of a fight that just had someone pulled 2 days before, or 24 hours before, or the day before, or day of, actually, excuse me, like hours before the fight. I keep counting down, you know. Eventually it'll register in my mind, but I think it'll happen. I'm just trying not to get my hopes up is what my thing is, because I was super excited for UFC 200. And then I got the news, and it was just like, like a ton of bricks. And then UFC 200 just sucked in general. So
right, yeah, I think John. I like just the animosity they have towards each other. So I think it's going to be a really exciting fight to watch.
So, you picking Jones?
Yeah. You know I'm going Jones.
You think it's going to decision, or do you think it's going to end in another way?
That's the tough part. I don't know.
Corey's saying he's going to be TKO'd in the third, so if that makes you feel any better about your pick.
Is TKO and KO the same thing, or is it?
So it's basically like a doctor's stoppage. Like, the ref stops it more than the fighter, whereas a KO is just where the fighter is completely knocked out. Like,
okay. So a TKO would be like, all right, you can't see out your eye anymore. We're gonna stop the fight.
Like, well, kind of like Ronda Rousey, how the fight was stopped because she wasn't defending herself.
Yeah.
Whereas knockout is just their eyes roll in the back of their head.
Right. Okay, I get what you're saying. So the TKO could even be like the ref just calling the fight.
Yeah.
All right. I will say, what did Ben say? He said knockout in the fourth, TKO in the fourth.
I think so.
I'll be different. I'll go TKO in the fifth.
Be different. or 3, 4, 5, and I'm decision. All right. Yep. So
we pretty much got, unless it ends up being like a quick fight where we got it all set. We got it all covered.
Well, at least in good news, we will have something to talk about next podcast. And that's hopefully Corey will be back to join us and defend his pick as well. Or it could work in our disadvantage, as we found out with the rest of Corey's picks, because they weren't so hot, except for he got a couple soccer ones. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. We'll talk golf first, where the Open Championship occurred. You went with your gut, Ricky Fowler, which I respect. It would have worked better for you in the U.S. Open, but Jordan Spieth actually won his third major of his career. He actually lost the lead later in the fourth round and battled back to win by 3 strokes over Kuchar, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. The Cooch. My guy, Stenson, appropriately picked by my source, my PGA source, he who must not be named until he makes an appearance on the podcast. Stenson finished tied for 11th at 3 under. Your guy finished at even, and then Corey's guy didn't even show up for the last 2 rounds. He came in at 54th place with 4 over. So the winning streak's still alive for me.
Son of a bitch.
Next major and final major of the year is the PGA, coming in August. I believe it is August 10. So I'll be out there in Syracuse when it's going on. And the show before that, we'll do our predictions, our final golf predictions of the year. Got a lot going on in August, actually. Think about it.
Do you know where they're playing for that? Is that the Quail Hollows or whatever?
Yes, it is. Good thinking, Stefan, because I don't
How
have
you
to
like that?
Yeah. I like it a lot. All right.
Wait. Before we move on from golf.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's talk about that top 5 golfers I did, last week?
Yeah.
Who did I put at number 5 that I was getting criticized about?
Kuchar?
Yeah. Yeah. So how about fuck you both and fuck anybody else?
I don't remember seeing any comments about you getting too much crap.
Well, you said you were going to talk to somebody about it, and
I never did.
No.
I forgot. I didn't hear anything about it, so if that makes you feel better.
Well, obviously, I should have gone with that guy, and I should have picked him.
Yeah. See? Go with your own rankings.
I know. One of these days.
One day. Someday.
Someday.
All right. Now, let's move on to some soccer.
Some people say, them can't believe. Jamaica, we have a bobsled team. We have the Wanderers. I know one junior. You, Sanka.
All right. Well, Jamaica may have a bobsled team. However, they also have reached the finals of the Gold Cup after winning over Mexico last night.
Wow.
So we didn't pick the semifinals, which is good for me because I would have picked Mexico. I don't know about you, Stefan.
I would have definitely picked Mexico. There's no way I would have picked Jamaica over Mexico.
Jamaica over Mexico. They won 1-0 after drawing earlier in group stage. And to round up our Gold Cup coverage and predictions, Stefan, you went 4-0 last week, as well as I did.
I had to redeem myself from the week before.
I also went 4-0. We all, including Corey, got one game dead on. So I kind of redeemed myself last week. Still behind you guys on the dead on scores, which is going to make this game even more trickier for me. Corey gave me his pick. He didn't give me a score, but he's picking USA because he's not communist. So there's that. I won't make him give me a score unless he puts one in the Facebook Live chat, which, by the way, he says your background looks great.
No, it looks like shit. But I'm doing this in your honor, you little bitch.
And then he also just said that he's picking USA 1-0. Stefan, as the fact that you went 4-0 last week, I'm going to make you go now because I'm still in the lead.
You went 4-0 too.
Yeah, I know.
So what I got to do with anything?
But I figured we'd give Corey's pick first, and then we'll go with yours.
I will go USA 2-1.
2-1. All right. So we're all sticking with the U.S. only. I think I'm going a little different with the fact that I don't like how the U.S. has a team with speed going against them. I feel like they're often caught off guard with teams with speed. So I'm a little nervous about it. I feel like Jamaica jumps out to a quick 2-0 1-0 lead. I think U.S. battles back, ties it at 1-1. And then I think it's going to penalty shots. I hope so. It'll be fun to see.
I was actually thinking that too.
So I'm
going. I didn't know how to guess that.
I'm going U.S. wins by penalties, and since no one else guessed penalties, I don't have to give the penalty final score, but it'll probably be like 4-3 or something. Timmy Howard's in goal again, thankfully. I was getting sick of seeing Guzan in the goal for the
But you
US.
have to at least get the 1-1 score right for the penalties.
One score, right?
No, you have to get the 1-1.
Okay.
If it's 2-2 and it goes to penalty shots, you don't get it. It doesn't count.
I don't get the win?
No, you get the win.
Okay.
But you don't.
I don't get the dead on.
You
Yeah,
don't
that's
get the
fine.
dead on. Yeah,
That's fine. A question from Facebook, a.k.a. Corey. He's asking, is this Dempsey's swan song? It's 2017 World Cup is next year. It'll probably be his last Gold Cup. It's not a swan song just yet. He'll play in the World Cup next year. They need someone else to... He was a huge difference maker in that game against Costa Rica. So I definitely see him playing in the World Cup next year. So I hope that answers your question, Corey. All right, let's move on to NASCAR. Some cars went around the track. I don't know who won. Do you know who won?
This will be an interesting talk.
Yes.
I don't know who won off the top of my head.
It was in Indianapolis. I know this.
It was. Shit, I did know who won.
This is
Come on,
why
Corey, where you at?
Yeah, we need Corey to call it. Casey Jane.
Casey Kane.
Oh,
Say Jane.
well, that's what he typed in, and
Oh.
his spell check is obviously not working too well.
Casey Kane.
Yeah, because then he
Right.
changed it to Cons, so Casey Cons.
Yeah, Casey Kane.
All right, I picked Ty Dillon, I believe.
You did.
He worked out for me. Got me a solid 18 points. How'd Stenhouse Jr. work for you guys?
It would have done wonderful, I guess, if he didn't crash, as Corey explained to us.
Corey let us know yesterday that he crashed. So
he got us a solid 2 points. It's better than 1, so
Yeah.
I'll take it.
it's double from lowest, although I believe you can get negatives, so there is that.
Let's not talk about that.
It's like-
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen to me. I'll be the first one to get the negative points.
Yeah,
It's not gonna be you or
exactly.
Corey. So we're going back to Pocono. I
Poconos.
said it right this time.
Poconos.
Corey is picking Eric Jones. I had to write it down while I was watching the interview I did on Friday, and so I can remember. Stefan, who are you picking?
Going Ryan Newman.
Ryan Newman. That's a solid pick. I'm going with the other Dylan. I'm going Austin Dillon. I'm using
taking
my
Dylan's back to back.
boom, boom. Let's go.
Seeing if they pay off. They're not.
He finished 11th last time in the Poconos, which was like 2 months ago, not even a month and a half ago. So hopefully it keeps that trend going. Same with Eric Jones, because we're all trying to beat Stefan.
I'm still up there, fighting for my life.
Second place. You're behind by 44 points, excuse me. Good number, Syracuse fan.
I don't get it.
Good. All right, some NBA offseason. Actually, a lot of NBA off. Even when the NBA is an offseason, I'm stuck talking about the stupid NBA this year.
Always talking about the
Why
NBA.
is this year? Is it out of the ordinary for there to be this much NBA offseason talk? I feel like it is.
The NBA is in complete chaos right now.
Like, I feel like they went, whoop, let's see where everything lands this year. Like,
And it's all because of what the Warriors did. When they added Kevin Durant to their freaking already star-studded team. Now everybody saw that nobody can beat them unless you also load up with a whole bunch more stars. So everybody's it's like a nuclear war. Like everybody's just building up trying to have more power.
Now, why does it seem like the West is more active?
Because the West has more competitive teams, honestly.
But why wouldn't some of these teams want to go to like an East Coast team or Eastern Conference team and have the ability to know they're going to make the playoffs if they go 500 and then compete in the playoffs instead of having a marathon grudge match all season long?
Well, like, I don't know. I mean, obviously it has to do with everybody's salary caps and everything. I don't know what teams in the East. I mean, there's not many competitive teams in the East that you could just add somebody and all of a sudden they're competing for a title.
Oh, yeah, Cleveland.
Right. I mean, Boston's making moves. But, I mean, if Kyrie Irving's gone from Cleveland, I think they have a very real possibility of making it to the finals next year. I like Washington Wizards. I think if they added in another piece, they could easily be the best team in the East. Outside of those three, Toronto's always there, but I don't think they're that great, especially when they get to the playoffs for some reason.
The Wizards have locked down John Wall to a 4-year, $170 million contract. I guess Derrick Rose has met with Cleveland recently, or actually today.
I just got a notification that said that he signed with Cleveland.
All right, so it looks like 1 year, 2.1 minimum deal with Cleveland.
So I'm thinking that that's I mean,
you think it's gonna help that trade for Kyrie?
Does he replace the production that Kyrie Irving had? No, he's an older version of Kyrie, and injury prone. I think that it might help them be more okay. I just don't see any possible way that Kyrie stays there and plays next year. Like, he literally said he doesn't want to play with LeBron anymore. Once you say that to the best player on the team, like, what? Like, you have no team chemistry at that point. Like, there's no way that he stays on the team.
Yeah, especially when you want to be the focal point.
Right. So, I think he was out either way, whether they had signed Derrick Rose or not. And I think, honestly, like, a lot of people are going to probably hate on Kyrie for doing what he's doing, but I don't know if LeBron probably would have done the same thing to him next year, because LeBron's a free agent after this year coming up, and say that Cleveland goes and makes it to the finals again and they can't compete with the Warriors, if the Warriors make it again. And LeBron's just like, well, we're not getting any better, so I might, like, LeBron could just jump ship and go wherever he wants to go. So maybe in Kyrie's mind, he was all just like, well, let me just get out of here before I get left behind.
I'm reading some other things, including something about Carmelo Anthony, who's been rumored to want to go to Cleveland as well as Houston. Now there's rumors of him going to Portland as well a couple days ago.
I actually just saw there was rumors of him going to Oklahoma City too.
So apparently that list is growing as every day goes by. Does he end up with a different team before the start of the season, or do we see him still as a Knick and then get traded away? Or do you think it's going to happen before the season starts?
I think if I was the Knicks, I would almost want to hang on to him for another year, because then I think his contract might be up or something. I was reading somewhere, or maybe it's 2 more years or something. But at that point, they can get rid of his ridiculous contract and free up a ton of cap space to do whatever they want to do. But right now, if they want to make the trade, they're going to have to get back whatever Melo's making. So, I mean, if they can get back some contracts that are only like a year left or a couple years left, then yeah, maybe it works out for them. But I mean, the Knicks they're not going to get any better with Melo on the team. So eventually they've got to move on. Whether they trade him now or they just hang on to him and he goes elsewhere after that.
All right. Well, do you have any other things to talk about for us, Steffan? We're a little short here. We have 7 minutes left from our normal time. I mean, I feel like we covered a lot, even though we didn't talk a lot live.
Covered quite a bit.
Corey's chiming in saying Melo on the Lakers and LeBron to follow.
No, that's dumb. That doesn't make any sense.
Gonna have to give up Ball.
No, they won't give up Ball.
That's a lot of youth. I mean, he did just win the Summer League MVP and didn't even play in the finals, so.
That is true. He looked decent outside of his couple games. He looked good. I just saw a video of LeVar Ball. Like, apparently he has an AAU team that he coaches with his son. And I don't know if both sons are on it. I saw at least the one son, I think. And apparently he didn't like a call that one of the refs made, so he just pulled the team off and they just walked off the court.
Nice.
Like, really? Like,
sounds about right. That's
the kind of role model you want to be. Okay. Not that I ever thought of him as a good role model, but at some point you need to just grow up and stop being a fucking child.
So I think the only thing we disagreed was on our NASCAR picks. We all went Team America. There it is. USA. We also all went. What else did we pick?
We all went
Jones. We all picked John Jones.
Oh yeah, we all picked Jones. Just
different ways, different rounds. I'll throw this one out for you. If Jones if Cormier wins, does he retire? Does he retire?
I don't know.
Because I just watched an interview with him today where he said that that's the only thing left is he's got to beat Jones. That's the only thing he has left to accomplish. He's got the belt. He's got this. He's got that.
So if you said if he loses, does he retire?
If he wins.
Oh, if he wins, does he retire? If he loses, do you think he doesn't retire?
If he loses, I think he attempts to try and come back. That way they can have that trilogy fight, especially depending on how many pay-per-view buys the UFC gets from this fight. If they get over 1 million, which they probably will because of how anticipated this fight has been, and Cormier loses, I see a trilogy because it also depends on how they lose too, because if they lose by decision, then there's things that can be worked on. If it's a knockout or a submission, then you're going to see, I don't think you'd see a rematch. And even if Cormier was to lose, I still see there being like a fight in between, and I see Cormier not making that next fight or getting hurt before and then retiring. So I think it's safe to say this is probably his last fight, major fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
I feel like if he wins though, like how can you not give Jones another chance? But I mean, obviously, if he retires, then the belt just goes up for him. So
he said, if he wins, then. I watched like 3 different interviews. I watched Jones, I watched Cormier, and then I watched Hardy explain like the breakdown. And Hardy said that he would basically just put Jones in the situation that Cormier is in now, which is he gets handed the belt.
Right. And then
you get to deal with the critics, and he can't deal with it. So I guess that's like the ultimate FU that Cormier would want.
I think it's a bitch move, but I mean, I get it. It's like
he's 38. I mean,
but if you're so confident that you can beat him, and if you do beat him, how can you not? I mean,
because he's old and out of shape.
You lost to him once, then you beat him once. So
I don't know. I don't see his legacy benefiting or from retiring either way.
Right.
So Corey says yes, he's going to retire. So.
Well, what does Corey know anyway?
Yeah, he only follows boxing. So, which, by the way, his boy Paulie, who he said he wanted to hear from. Did you see what I posted on our Facebook page?
I probably didn't.
He started sparring with him last week. He's taking this weekend off because he's calling a major boxing event that I can't think of off the top of my head that will be on pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. And then he's going back to train more with McGregor. But he said that McGregor has the different approach, and, you know, there is a method to his madness. So he didn't say it was terrible. So He said that they went for like 8 rounds the first sparring, which is pretty far. They were only supposed to do 5, and they just kept going. And there was a lot of trash talk, and he was impressed with the trash talk because, you know, he's able to talk some trash as well.
Right.
So I just love watching Corey's messages on the stream pop up because of autocorrect. Broner versus Garcia on Showtime. I believe it's pay-per-view. Maybe it's on actual Showtime, so I'll probably watch it or try to watch it. It's also on Saturday, so I'm having some folks over. We'll probably stream it on the laptop or something. Maybe I'll do a live stream on Saturday, and you can join in if you want, because I have that ability, so we don't have to do this setup. I can just, like, invite you via the stream. So we'll see what happens there. A lot to talk about next week then. A lot to talk about the week after, because we're quickly approaching August, which means football.
Yeah, we got to wrap shit up, get into football. Once football gets going, that's it.
I mean,
training camp started today for the Eagles. I'm already hyped up. I've been seeing everything I post on Snapchat. I'm ready to go.
Hard Knocks starts August 9th, I believe, on HBO, featuring the one and only Tampa Bay Buccaneers here.
That shit show.
I'm going to enjoy watching that. It'll be the first time I actually watched Hard Knocks. My other thing I wanted to ask you about, and since Corey's watching, he can comment. Instead of doing the beer mile when I come out to Syracuse, how about the taco mile? Have you heard of this? It's the same as the beer mile.
I have not heard of this.
It's the same as the beer mile, only with Taco Bell tacos.
Taco Bell tacos.
I feel like that's a challenge in itself as well. I mean, like, I feel like I can do, like, the first 3 rounds easy, getting those tacos down. It's going to be that 4th one, like you struggled with that 4th beer.
I think that's way easier. I can slam some tacos.
Yeah, but after running,
I can still slam some tacos.
I feel like it's going to be like a rock in your gut.
How about we do the beer taco mile? We'll do beers and tacos.
Oh, that's a great combination. That way it's liquid. Yeah.
Yep.
Corey likes the taco idea, so we're going with the tacos. 2-1. You're outvoted.
You guys are pussy. I'm gonna do the beer mile regardless.
We'll time you. I'll time.
I gotta beat Ben's time.
Yeah, I'll get the official Ben's time. I still have to give him the video. He wants that. He's going to be starting a podcast on his own as well. So as soon as we get that, maybe I'll ask him for some sponsorship. And by sponsorship, I mean just mentions on his podcast.
Right.
Vice versa. Yeah, I'll be a guest on his podcast to come as soon as he gets that all set up.
What's he doing? MMA stuff or just?
No, just regular life stuff.
Yeah.
Also, another good point brought up by Corey. Undefeated top 50, more of that fun list.
I know. I was going to mention that. I
I didn't mention any of the 40 through 30 because I want to get Corey's opinion because he's very opinionated about Kobe Bryant. So
I went and took a glance at it before we started here.
I haven't looked at it just yet. I did set it in the back of my mind for next week's show. So
we'll be able to do 40 through 20.
40 through 20. A little more easier to like debate where everyone's supposed to be.
Almost to the top 10.
Almost.
Can't wait for it.
Ooh. Maybe I'll just film this then because Corey has accepted to do the tacos and beer mile challenge.
Wow. I was not being serious about that. I will do them separately on separate days, but I will not be performing that together. That is absolutely insane. Just from the experience of the beer mile itself, to try to add tacos into that, no, I will not. We can, Corey, if you really want to do that, you can do that on your own. I will do two separate. I'll do the beer mile and the taco mile.
See, he's already backpedaling, Corey.
Are you kidding me? You're the one that backpedaled out of doing the beer mile again.
To be fair,
no, there's
it's not backpedaling out of. I'm coming up with another idea because the defending champion actually wants a trophy and he wants to be part of the next one. So he's already
tell him to come out here.
He's already asking when your next trip out here is. So
it'll be sometime next summer, maybe.
You have time to train, I guess.
I'm gonna beat his record.
Get your time done.
I'm gonna get the unofficial record because obviously I can't claim it as the record if I don't beat him. It's just like that documentary. The guy never raced against anybody, so they don't count his as the actual official record. Nobody will count it as the official record.
Do you want me to run a couple laps for you so it's official?
No, you don't have to run any laps. I just want to. If I can beat his time, it'll feel good in my heart, and I'll know when I go out there that I'm going to whoop his ass.
This is what we talk about after the stream, guys. All right, for Steffan, Corey, who's not here but is here with us, we'll see you next week with a lot more information. I'm excited to talk about whatever happens with the Jones-Cormier fight. So
I can't wait to see more NBA stuff pop up.
Oh, great. And on that note, there it is. There's that music. Hey, are you going to be doing the best of, or am I going to do it again this week?
We'll see. All
right. Till then, you can tell who does the best of by whoever's voice appears at the front of the video. Unless Steffan plays some movie magic and then puts my voice, because I'll never put his voice in the intro.
Wait, one more thing. Did you see that Buddy Boeheim got offered a scholarship from Gonzaga?
I did not.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of Jim Boeheim with his arm around. What kind of first name is Buddy, anyway?
I don't know.
Do you really want someone named Buddy on your team, Steph?
I feel like that's like a nickname. Like, hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Guy. Not your buddy, pal. All right.
Just wanted to throw that out there.
Thanks for ruining my... Oh, man. I will never cheer for Gonzaga.
You will.
No.
If there's a Boeheim playing for him, you will.
No, it's called Hopkins on Washington.
No,
it's still Syracuse related.
You'll cheer for him.
Is it football season yet?
It's coming.
I'm tired of talking about NBA. Later.
See ya.